This is lesson 2.4, and we're going to be talking about collecting like terms. So let's go over some of the vocabulary, some of the nomenclature again. Here's an expression. It has two things separated by a minus. Each of those things is called a term. So we have two terms, which makes it a binomial because there's two of them. All right? Now I see a letter in there, the x squared, so the x represents a variable. Anytime you see a letter, it's going to be called a variable. Now if there's a number in front of that variable, so the 2, we're going to call that a coefficient. And if there's a number but there is no variable behind it, like that 3, that is called a constant. Okay? Now since we're talking about collecting like terms, maybe I should explain what a like term means. Like terms are when you have two terms and they have the similar variables. And so the variables could be the same letter and they'll be raised to the same exponents. Okay, when you have like terms, you can put them together. It's kind of like apples and apples. You can put them together into a group of apples. But unlike terms have different variables. So let's say A and B. Or they'll have the same letter, A and A, but one might have an A squared and the other one might have an A cubed. So they'll have different exponents. In those cases, you're talking about two completely different things, apples and bananas, and you can't put them together. So they have to have the same variables and the same exponents to be able to be simplified. And so the last word you'll see, simplify, means just combining like terms together. It's actually easier to show you. So this is example number 1. The instructions say to simplify. Notice that A says 15y minus 9y. So it's kind of like 15 yaks minus 9 yaks. And since we're talking about the same animal, yaks, you can actually subtract them. All right, so you have 15 of them minus 9 of them. That means that you have 6 left over. So 6y, 6 yaks. And that's it. You've simplified by putting them together. Notice in B, both of the terms, negative 13a and the negative 10a, both have a's. So it's like apples and apples. If they both have a's and you're going to put them together, negative 13 minus 10 is going to give you negative, 23. A. Just like that. So it's like you're combining the coefficients together and you're just leaving the variable behind it. Now, if you don't see a coefficient, it's going to be a 1. So that is a 1p. Okay? So 9p's minus 1p minus 6p. 9 minus 1 is 8. Minus 6 is going to be 2. So the answer should be 2p. All right, now here we get into a question where you have different letters now. So you not only have j's, and by the way, that's a 1j, so negative 1j, you also have k's. You can't put j's and k's together and combine them because they're different letters. They're unlike terms. That's why we're going to separate the blue and the orange, keep all the j's together, and then put the k's together. Okay? Now what you can do if you want to is just write them next to each other if you'd like. So negative j first, minus 3j. I'm just switching the order around so that the oranges are together. Let me get rid of that and we'll make that into just a neutral color. And then you can put the blue at the end. And so that's just rearranging the order so that I can see all the oranges together and I can put them and combine them. So negative 1j minus 3 is going to give me a negative 4j. And then we rewrite the 7k because we can't combine it with the orange. The blue and the orange are completely different. They're different variables. So they're unlike terms. You can't put them together. All right, let's try a couple other ones. Okay, so equal sign. All right. And then we got all of our A's. So here's apples and apples. Apples and apples can go together. Bananas and bananas will go together, but apples and bananas will not go together. Okay? So just for speed, you know what? I'll do this one more time with a rewrite of the question, and then I won't do it anymore. Okay? So I'm just rearranging everything so that everything is right beside each other in the same color. So I put the oranges next to each other and the blues next to each other, and that makes it easier for me to see that when I take 8 minus 6, I'm going to get 2 A's. And when I take negative 2 minus 3, I'm going to get negative 5. And then we put the B, and that's our final answer again, because we can't put A's and B's together. All right. So I'd like you to try some of these on your own. Why don't you try F and G on your own? I'm going to put the final answer. Let me see. What is that final answer? What can I say? 3x. Negative 3z. Okay, negative 19. So that should be for F. I'll just check over my work. That should be okay. All right, for G, wow, that's a lot of different letters. It might be helpful just to use different colors, just like I'm doing right now. I like to highlight, and if you don't have different colors, okay, you can actually just put different symbols. So I'm going to circle all my P's like that, but maybe I'll put a triangle around all my R's, something like that. So if you don't have like different colored pencils, you can always do that. Okay, and let's go in alphabetical order. So let's do the P's first. Should be 2P. So again, I'd like you to do this by yourself and just see if you get the same answers. Now I got one R, but I'm not going to write the 1. I know that there's a 1 in front of the R, so I'm just going to leave it as is. When you write R, we know that there's 1 of them. Okay, let me just review my work. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Now I will teach you that very last one. And it looks kind of confusing because all of them are A's. But you'd see they still can't be all combined together because some of them are A squares and some of them are just A's. So let's do the A squares separately. We have 1A squared plus 3A squared, which is 4, and then you just write the A squared again. This is negative 4A and negative 5A, so negative 9A. All right. And even though these guys both have A's, you can't put them together because they have different exponents. So that's how we collect like terms.